the Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Italian Football Podcast. I'm Carlo Garganese, joined as always by Nima Tavallaey. On today's show, we will react to Italy's Nations League game against France in Paris on Friday. An incredible win, a shock win, let's be honest, over France. Italy put in a performance that nobody was expecting at all after the disaster at Euro 2024. We will review the game, we'll go through all the winners and the losers, not many of them, although one in particular, and look ahead to now what looks like there's a bit of hope and maybe a bright future for the Azzurri going forward. So lots of exciting things to talk about with Italy today. We'll touch upon club matters in Serie A as well, but most of the focus today will be on the Italy national team, and we'll also look ahead also to the resumption of Serie A next weekend, as well as Baggio, Premface and Serie Ass of the week. For all our first-time listeners, this is our free weekly episode that we do every Monday, reviewing the weekend Serie A action and all the biggest talking points in Italian football. If you want to support the Italian Football Podcast and receive all of our content that we do throughout the week, including a weekly Q&A episode every Tuesday, where we answer all the questions from our patrons, plus the weekly Thursday midweek review show, plus interviews, post-match reaction, and much, much more, then go to patreon.com/TIFP and become a subscriber for just $2.99 a month plus VAT. You can also sign up to be a paid subscriber on Spotify. Links in the description. It's the same price and same terms. And for all of you that do listen on Spotify, Apple and iTunes podcasts, we'd really appreciate if you give us a 5-star rating, a follow and a like. Also, do subscribe to us on YouTube. We're really, really growing fast on there. 3,500 subscribers now. So follow us there, give us a like there. It just allows us to do more content for you guys. Okay, let's get into today's show. So we are going to be talking about, for most of the show, the France versus Italy game on Friday, UEFA Nations League match day 1. Italy going away for the toughest game of the group in Paris at the Parc des Princes. Pretty hopeless situation for most people. I don't think anybody could have predicted what was to follow after everything that we saw at Euro 2024. And also looking at the squad beforehand, I don't think many people looked at that squad and thought, Italy can go away and win at the most successful international team over the last decade, really. Let's be honest. And Italy didn't just go there and win. They went there and were pretty dominant and deservedly won 3-1. Maybe even could have scored more goals on the night. It was a first win in Paris for 70 years. So it was in many ways a historic result. And that all came after the worst start ever by an Italian team. And we all thought it was, here we go again, 14 seconds straight from the kickoff. Italy conceded a goal after a shocking mistake by Di Lorenzo. Donnarumma didn't even have his gloves on. It was that fast, and everybody thought, here we go again. But Italy reacted to it, and they were absolutely fantastic, Nima.
Yes, they were really, really good. What I was most impressed with was, I was really worried, as I said last week, that this was going to be another exercise in Spalletti pushing or trying, square pegs, round holes kind of thing. Playing a 3-5-2, but not really. Playing a 3-4-2-1, not having a balanced team. But there was none of that. This was completely different. This was a Spalletti who I wished would have had this attitude going into the Euros. I really do wish. I think Italy would have had a much better Euros. I'm not saying they would have won it, because I think the gulp in quality is what it is compared to Spain, Germany, and or especially France. But for me, the way I look at it is, I saw a team that was compact, that was balanced, that Spalletti did everything I wanted him to do, which I've said for over 16 months now, that the formation is just about balance. The attacking phase, to express the football and his ideology, that doesn't hinge on whether he has a back three or a back four, because Spalletti's football, the most important is the midfield trio and how they transition from a 3 to a 2-1, where the 1 is the trequartista linking up with the wide players and of course the striker. That's the most important tactical aspect of the attacking phase of Spalletti, and he did all of that. He had them set up brilliantly, and the fact that they reacted the way they did, even after again going down a goal after 14 seconds after a stupid mistake, they reacted, and the equalizer was just stunning. I tweeted out that this was Spalletti taking influences from Inzaghi, in the sense that these big, long, wide, expansive triangles, horizontally and then vertically, with one-touch movement. It's incredibly difficult to execute, and it's above all incredibly difficult to defend against. But you see, I'm also of the opinion that Spalletti's attacking ideology and Inzaghi's attacking ideology are not that far apart. And so what I saw was something that really comforted me more than the result, was to see Italy have an identity again, that they believed in something. And how Spalletti, whatever was pissing him off or whatever he was upset about in the summer, this was a Spalletti we saw at Napoli when he was at his best, when he was in control of his emotions, himself, of the team, and they were excellent. I mean, again, the result, I don't really care about the result, because for me, the Nations League is just a glorified friendly. What I want to see is a performance. I want to see something that gives me hope moving forward, defensively and attackingly, or defense in the defensive phase and the attacking phase. And I saw all of those things. I saw mental strength. I saw reaction. I saw fantastic football, creative football. Again, international football for me is, as a manager, your main job is to mitigate your weaknesses, maximize your strengths, and play to the opposition's weaknesses. Because you can't sign players. You have what you have, and therefore you got to do the best with it. And I thought, finally, we saw the real Spalletti, the Spalletti that made me happy when he was first appointed. I was happy about that appointment. I've been waiting to see this that we saw against France, and it was. I'm really, really happy about it. It really gives me hope for the future. It really gives me a sense of this team under Spalletti, if he continues down this path, can actually become more than the sum of its parts. And that's what you have to do right now as the Italy manager. I'm not saying be defensive. I'm not saying do anything. I'm saying get the most out of what is available to you. And I felt finally Spalletti did that against France. More than the result, that's what I take away from it.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised. I have to be honest. I mean, if we look at this tactically, he went to a 3-5-1-1 formation. And I looked at the team, especially attacking, and I saw, well, they've got one striker, Retegui. They've got Pellegrini as the one behind the one, not the quickest player, as we know. And then basically, Frattesi, Ricci, Tonali, and Pellegrini. We're talking about 4 central midfielders there. So you packed the centre of the pitch. But, I was kind of a bit worried before the game, thinking, how are we going to be a threat offensively with just all midfielders and no only one attacker, really, one natural attacker on the pitch. Yet they cut through France so time and again, so easily. So many men were getting forward, so many men were getting into the box, whether it was in possession, and Italy, until probably the last 20, 25 minutes, Italy were controlling, dominating possession as well, dominating territory. And so they were great in possession, but they were also fantastic in transition and on the counter-attack. And every time they attacked, they were overwhelming, overloading France. They had always had so many men forward. So despite only having one striker on the pitch, Italy were creating chances. And, it was working fantastically. And that everything that I asked for in a football team, we saw that it was very fluid. We saw great kind of patterns of play, great team moves. I mean, look at the 3 goals. All 3 goals, amazing team moves. I mean, the first one obviously stands out. The first goal is a world-class goal in every possible way. For cross from the right from Cambiasso straight to Dimarco. Dimarco hits it first time to Tonali, who first time incredible world-class back heel flick into the path of Dimarco, who hits it first time. 3 first time hits of the ball. Absolutely incredible. But all 3 goals were team moves. Yes, we can break down and we'll talk about France's defending not being great, but cut through them with team play. Italy made those goals, and the passing was great. I thought the pressing was fantastic. I mean, the winning the ball in all areas of the pitch, high up, but in the middle of the pitch. I mean, the press breaking balls into midfield from the defence. I mean, Calafiori and Bastoni, especially Bastoni, but both of them were absolutely fantastic with their press breaking passes. Calafiori again with those press breaking runs into midfield. I mean, he was basically playing as a double central midfielder alongside Ricci for much of the game. He was superb again, but physically very sharp. Like in the Euros, Italy looked so tired, so lethargic. They were physically great in this game. Lots of fight as well. Of course, mentally fantastic, because if you recover from going behind after 14 seconds in Paris, after everything that's gone on beforehand in the Euros and the pressure that Spalletti was on, I mean, lots of people, including ourselves, were kind of asking the question, are we beginning to see, is this the beginning of the end of Spalletti? Is he 1 or 2 bad results or bad performances away from being, at the risk of the sack, especially with the elections for the FIGC president, where Gravina could be replaced and the new guy could come in as a president and want his own man. Lots of pressure going into this game. You go behind after 14 seconds, and we showed such great character. I mean, I think it showed that the players were playing for the manager. All those doubts that we had in the Euros about, were they going against the manager? Were they not in tune? I mean, that I think we can certainly say they're playing for the manager. We saw that with the celebrations as well. The way that Spalletti was embraced after the goals that were scored. I mean, I thought as a team, tactically, fantastic. Outplayed France tactically. France, it was like watching, an elite tactician against a basic tactician, and that's what it was. It was fantastic, brilliant.
It was
brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic, and that's exactly what I meant about the first goal being difficult to actually execute in terms of. But it's a movement, and it's a movement pattern that we see Inzaghi do time and time again. And we've seen Spalletti do to a certain extent, but his triangles are much smaller, whilst Inzaghi's are much bigger on the pitch when they saw themselves through. From Cambiasso, cutting in a little bit, playing that wide ball out to Dimarco, one touch pass to Tonali, who backheels it. Dimarco runs. I mean, we've seen that time and time again, Inter do that. That's what I mean with the expansive triangles going horizontally and then vertically. That it's really difficult to defend against that. And it's also kind of what I meant about how their football in the attacking phase really isn't that different. It's not much of an adaptation for Spalletti to incorporate that into this team, given that the foundation and most of the players, are used to playing with a back three, and most of the players, they talk about the Inter core. Well, Inter are the best team in Italy right now, if we look at the last 5 years, and it's only natural for the national team to build on the team, the strongest domestic team with the most Italian players. So it's just natural to do it. I mean, we've seen it in the past with Juve when they were dominating, or Milan, and so on. So I'm really, really happy to see him do all of these things. I did not expect it at all. I am the first to raise my hand up and say that again. I was expecting another, all those comments before worried the hell out of me. And I said it on the pod last week. I was really scared of him doing exactly what he did in the Euros: square pegs, round holes, and Italy getting destroyed. Well, instead, what we saw was everything I'd hoped to see from Spalletti from day one. And what we saw was Italy ripping a, on paper, qualitatively far superior team to shreds. Again, I don't even care about the result. I'm talking about the performance, the reaction, the balance, the patterns of play, the defensive structure. I was so happy, and to do that after a mistake from Di Lorenzo, which cost him a goal, like that to me is just that. I mean, for me, this was, I couldn't in my wildest dreams have hoped for something like this, and I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled to see Italy. I really have hope now moving forward. Like, I'm not saying that Italy are the best and they're going to win the World Cup or anything like that. No, they need to appoint Allegri to do that. but I had to get.
You have to put a dampener on things, don't you?
That.
I mean, here we are, all excited and enthusiastic, and you have to mention that man.
You have to wind you up.
No, but
in all honesty, I'm not saying they're going to do that, but I actually have hope now. And I saw the introductions of Udogie and the other players who came in, and it gave me more hope. And I'm looking at.
Yeah, we'll talk about the individuals in a minute. I just want to finish up on Spalletti first, though, Nima. And I think that yes, you're absolutely spot on. The hope has been renewed for Italy, and that was important because everyone had kind of given up after the Euros, hadn't they? Let's be honest, everyone had given up, and I'm sorry, nobody predicted this in this game. Nobody. You find me if there's anyone out there that predicted that this turnaround in this game. I didn't see them. I didn't see anyone predict. There was doom and gloom everywhere. Everyone thought that they would lose, and this has brought hope again for Italy. And fair play to Spalletti, like what he said before this game. It played out. He predicted that Italy would dominate possession in this game before kickoff. But he also spoke about how after the Euros, he was quite open about the mistakes that he tried to complicate matters too much with his positional play and the way that, well, he said he wanted his team to build up in a 3 and defend in a 4, and how he's changed that and wants them to kind of play this, have the same, from a defensive point of view anyway, have the same numbers attacking as defending. So they defend in a 3 as well, and I guess that that does make things simpler when it is difficult in international football when you only got very limited time with the players. You don't have day in, day out throughout the season. You have a few windows, and you only have a few days before the games you play, and it's very difficult to put these complex tactical club systems that we see the best coaches in the world are able to put into place, like Spalletti did at Napoli, like Pep, like some of these system managers do, Gasparini, De Zerbi, that are very kind of system managers. And it's almost impossible to do that in international football because you don't have the time, and it takes a long time to get those. I think what he's done, Spalletti, is he's tried to simplify things, but at the same time, I saw some patterns of play that looked very complicated, not complicated, but patterns of play that you don't just do by just turning up and playing. Those have been worked on in training. So that's what really gives me hope, is that they're still able to have an identity, the Spalletti identity, but also do it with a system that I had my doubts whether that would be possible, because Spalletti has built his success not with a 3-man defence. And I said that if you're going to be Spalletti, play the system that you play. Don't play a 3 that isn't how you've been successful. And we saw in this game that they could play the kind of Spalletti football with a back 3. So that gives me hope. But we have to also say, Nima, that this is, like you said, it's a glorified friendly. It's the Nations League. It's France. They have amazing individuals, but it's also a France that we saw in the Euros were horrible themselves. I mean, they scored 1 goal from open play in the Euros, and they were horrible to watch. And they've got a coach who, as I call him, is the French Gareth Southgate, who has no system. They play the most basic. Or he's probably Deschamps has probably stayed too long as well. And also, it's one game as well. Like, it's one game. We need to see consistency now over the next games in the rest of the Nations League, and then of course the World Cup qualifiers start next year. So we need to see this consistently. But lots and lots of hope and promise going forward, Nim. But I want to talk about the individuals now.
Can I just say one last thing on this issue, on this thing, and that is that I got a little bit of a deja vu from when Mancini took over. If you remember, when Mancini took over, it was chaotic. He inherited a disaster, but it took some time to get through it, and then he started imposing his ideas, and then Italy went on that insane 2-3 year run, and ended up with culminating in winning the Euros. I'm getting a little bit deja vu here in the sense that Spalletti inherited a mess. A bomb had gone off. He struggled to find his feet, but it feels now that there is an identity and a belief in this team and each other, coach, players, everyone, and that, regardless of where this ends in 2 years, 3 years' time, that is hopeful, and that is the most important thing, because the national team needs stability now. The Azzurri need stability. They need to get to the World Cup. They need to deliver at that World Cup, and that doesn't mean winning. That means doing themselves justice by playing a football in both phases that has a clear identity, where that they believe in, and that they look like a team, a coherent team. What we saw against France in the Nations League was the embryo of that, and that's what gives me hope.
Yeah, no, I agreed. The hope has been restored, and that is so important. But we have to talk about individuals, because there are so many individuals to talk about here. So many fantastic individual performances in this game. I want to start off first of all with Samuele Ricci. We're going to do a profile on him in a minute, so I only want to speak very, very quickly about him here. But for me, he was the biggest success story of the game, along with Tonali, but the new success story, let's say, because this was his first start, I think, for Italy. Certainly his first competitive start for Italy, only his third appearance for Italy. And he played as the regista in this game, and he was absolutely fantastic at the base of the midfield. He didn't look like he was making his first start. He looked like a veteran, I thought, and very, very fantastic in all phases. But let's park him for now, because I want to do a profile on him in the next segment. But Tonali, though, let's talk about Tonali, because this was his first game after a year for Italy. Obviously, had that 10-month betting ban, missed the Euros. He was absolutely brilliant in this game. Just everything about him, his grinta, his drive, his press, his ability to press and win the ball, but also his quality on the ball, which is none more exemplified by that amazing assist. Just pure class for the assist for the Dimarco goal with a back flick. I mean, to think that he puts in a performance like this, having not played for a year, and just with a few minutes under his belt this season as a substitute for Newcastle. I mean, and he plays like this. I mean, wow. I mean, I think we've seen just how much we've missed him, Nima.
I mean, I was thinking midfield: Barella, Tonali, Pellegrini, or Ricci, depending on how you want to formate them. It made me happy. It just, like, they really complement each other really well. Because I think, or even Locatelli, which I think should be integrated back into this team now as a reserve, as a rotation player. I don't know what Spalletti's problem is, but whatever it is, sort it out. Because Locatelli has a role in this team. In this midfield trio, the characteristics he has, he can offer something coming off the bench. Not as a starter, but just like Fratesi, who shouldn't be a starter in my opinion either, even though I know he did. But my point is, when everyone is healthy, the strongest midfield does not include Locatelli and Fratesi, but they have to be in the squad. You can't tell me they're not good enough to be in the squad. With those characteristics and with this midfield, the way that they want to play, they have to be in the squad. And I'm just drooling at the idea of Barella getting into, a fit Barella coming into this team. Like, it's just...
But let's talk about Tonali, though. I mean, just how good his performance was.
Yeah, he was outstanding. He was absolutely outstanding. He came out with a point to prove. He came out wanting to show who he was. And this was the Tonali that we all fell in love with, that we saw, as a generational player. Now it's up to him to play at this level week in, week out, and show and reestablish himself. And I hope that happens in the Serie A. I really hope he returns back to the Serie A. I don't want him to waste away in the Premier League in Newcastle. So, I know he just signed a contract not too long ago, but I love this. This is the player. He was fantastic in both phases. He's so press resistant. He's so positionally sound, in my opinion, and he's a great passer. He's got a very underrated shot on him. No, I really, really love watching him, and I mean that back flick as well. I mean, you saw it. Like when this is what he can do when you give him time, and the reason he found that time is, again, these sideways movements are so difficult to defend against. And if you have wing backs who can play like that, where you create the numerical advantage in midfield, where you have from one end to the other, and the other receiving wing back can on one touch go deeper, that's so difficult to defend against. The defending team can't push up and put pressure on whoever's got the ball. And you need the player who is on the receiving end, like Tonali was, to be able to have the quick thinking and technique to play that ball. Well, he has that ball. I thought, and I loved. Sorry, he has that skill, and I just absolutely loved his performance. I really did.
Yeah, I thought he was absolutely brilliant, and I remember saying it when the betting ban was announced. I remember saying then that I'm writing off our Euros now because our midfielders, was declined so much, and we just could not lose Tonali, and that we saw in this game without Barella playing, like you said, just how much he brings to this team. I mean, that was a world class performance from Tonali. He completely dominated the France central midfielders. But also the other centre mids like Ricci, as we said, but Fratesi, he has his critics, and I'm one of them. It drives me mad seeing a midfielder with a pass success rate of under 50%. I can't get that out of my head, because when I played that, I was a passing midfielder. When I used to play with midfielders that couldn't pass it used to drive me mad. It really did. When I see Fratesi's passing, but he was brilliant in this game. He was brilliant. He scored. He hit the bar. I mean, he should have scored. It was virtually an open goal, but he was in the position. He's very good at getting into those positions in the box. Very good with those late runs. He's usually a very good finisher as well. Actually, to give him his credit, when he has a chance, he usually puts them away. But he hit the bar on that one. But he took his goal great. He had another header, which Magnon made a magnificent save. So he could have had a hat trick in this match, but his his energy, his intensity, his pressing, and just his tactical role that he played out. I mean, clearly Spalletti seems to quite like him and as a player, and I think he probably shows that as well under Spalletti. So I thought Fratesi was great. Those three in midfield, Ricci, Tonali, Fratesi, the three of them in the centre of midfield were all three of them were really, really great. And then if we move to the flanks, I mean, Dimarco playing in a natural role, and obviously he's the one that's going to benefit the most from playing in this three-man defence or wing back system. Let's say he's going to benefit the most because we've seen what he does for Inter, and he just seems so more natural with his movements, and of course the goal. I mean, just magnificent goal. I mean, it's going to be goal of the round. Let's say you're not going to beat that goal as a team move, but also as a shot as well. I mean, magnificent from Dimarco and Cambiasso as well. Excellent. He had a great start to the season for Juventus. Cambiasso, obviously in a different system, but he's played everywhere for Juve. He's played as a right back, a left back, and as a right winger this season. And he might play right winger in the next game as well because they've got both of their new signings injured. So he was great, and we saw him involved. Very good technically, isn't he? with
He
the ball.
is, and he's a very intelligent player. The fact that he's so tactically intelligent is why he can be utilized in so many roles. I really think I don't know if it was you who said it first or who else said it about the Zambrotta analogy. I think that's absolutely spot on. The tactical awareness and intelligence of him, that is, and other Zambrotta was a world-class player. I think it's way too soon to call Cambiasso a world-class player, but he has similarities in terms of his intelligence on the pitch, which makes him very useful. He can interpret so many roles really well, and that's what makes him such a useful player, both for club and country. And we saw that in that game throughout. And no, it's
And Udogie as well, like you said. I thought he was really good. He got an assist,
love
didn't he?
Udogie, man.
Got the assist for Raspadori. Yeah, he was. But he played as a mezzala, which is really interesting because remember when we interviewed him,
he didn't like it
just over a year ago. He came onto the pod. I asked him the question. I remember it well. I said, do you prefer playing as a left back or do you prefer playing as a mezzala, which is a role that he only really played for Italy's. I don't know if it was under 17s or under 19s. I remember watching him
He
play
has
that.
done it for Udinese as well on occasion.
Yeah, very rarely though. Very rarely. And I asked him, and he was pretty adamant. No, like I don't. He didn't say I don't like playing there, but he pretty much said.
He said I'm a left back. I mean,
I'm a left back. That's my role.
That's
I'm not a mezzala. That's what he basically said.
He said it pretty much. Like if I remember correctly, it's been a while since we did that interview, but I think he was very clear.
Yeah, he was very clear. Yeah,
there was no ifs, ands, or buts there. But no, I absolutely loved him in this role. I thought he was excellent, and I love that. Again, the fact that Italy have players who can interpret different roles in a really good way is something I really enjoy, and it makes me happy because I think you have to do that, and also, I don't like to see Bastoni in the middle of that three-man defense because I think he's better on the left. But I have to say, if he's going to play like that,
he was great.
That's what. But if he's going to play like that, then then you're in the middle, and it's like he was unbelievable. Like we've spoken, we all know how bloody good he is in the attacking phase. His weakness has always been on the defensive side, right? But the last 12 to 18 months, the steps he's taken in the defensive phase are just mind-blowingly impressive. Like what a career trajectory he's laying for himself here, and he's becoming like this kind of complete central defender, modern central defender who can do everything. And it was just I just loved seeing it. I
thought he was superb. I mean, he was magnificent on the ball, but we know that. We know he's brilliant at the ball.
But I mean, that's what I mean with the ball line. But the defensive side, I thought he was outstanding. And again, this is something, like I said, we've seen for the last 12 to 18 months. He has improved so much defensively.
He seemed to, in this game, he was smelling danger really well. Like he wasn't just like, I don't know whether this would be an accurate way to describe him, but I feel like sometimes he's a little bit, not standoffish, but a little bit kind of
hesitant.
Yeah, maybe hesitant, but he doesn't.
But I feel like he's polished that the last year and a half. That he
was more aggressive, I think.
More aggressive, reads the game, like he expresses his read of the game in a better way than he used to. I think is how I put it.
Yeah,
and he's done this for Inter as well. So this is not just a one-off game. It's been consistent. And
no, I mean that I think that's a really big positive for Inter as well because they need They're going to need a new centre back because Acerbi's 36, De Vrij is past his best as well. There's a gap there. You put him in there, and then.
But then again, I do love his runs and his crossing. Like it's like, and these diagonal balls. Bastoni to Barella. It's like.
Of course, and that's something for Inter to think about. But I think for Italy, for Italy, when you've got Bastoni and Calafiori, and then they're two. I don't want to say two world-class players, but I think it could soon be that case. Then
Calafiori isn't there yet.
But you know what I mean. There's potential for them to both be world class, and quite soon. And you're thinking, well, we've got to find a way to play both of them. And if you're playing a back three, this is how you play both of them.
And then you've got Buongiorno as well. But
that's good though, because you need depth. We saw it in the Euros. You can't have a situation because there's always going to be injuries, especially with Italy's recent record. where obviously we've spoken about it. Something's not right at the moment with the number of injuries that Italian players are getting. You're going to have players missing. You're going to have players out. You can't go from having one player out and all of a sudden you've got, like we had in the Euros, where you have to rely on players that are not good enough because somebody's out in any position, not just the centre back. So
I agree with that. Just one thing I wanted to say finally, and we're talking about individuals before we move on.
Oh no, I've still got a few to talk about.
Yeah, no, I want to talk about Raspadori.
I want to stick with the defence first. I want to go on to Calafiori next, but yeah, go on.
I want to talk about Raspadori. This is how you use it.
Well, let's go on to Raspadori after. Let's finish with the defence first. Yeah. Calafiori. Like I said, you have to play. I mean, Bastoni and Calafiori together in this game. I thought they were absolutely outstanding. I mean, Mbappe couldn't do anything. I mean, I know Mbappe's not been the best for quite a while now. Let's be honest, but he couldn't outpace. He couldn't do them for pace because Calafiori has got the legs. He couldn't beat them for smarts because Bastoni and Calafiori are so clever. But the both of the Calafiori especially so good at intercepting and reading the game aggressively, coming forward and winning the ball early. The France attackers couldn't do anything. That both of those two together, whatever they did, those two had the answers. Like between the two of them, they've literally got everything. They complete everything. Those two, and they're so good on the ball as well. And Calafiori, the way that he brings the ball out, like we saw obviously with that famous goal for Italy against Croatia, the way that he made that goal by coming out of defence and the way that he brings it out of defence. But also in this game, we saw tactically how important it is because he was joining to create a two-man, like a double pivot with Ricci in the centre of midfield, which creates an extra overload. And Italy were completely overloading France in midfield. And with France having Kante and Fofana already, you can't keep the ball if their life depended on it. They're not ball-playing players. Then France that was it for France. I mean, total dominant midfield. I mean, so what Calafiori, wow, he has to start for Arsenal now. I know he's been bedded in, but just playing now, Arteta. Enough of this substitute.
Well, I don't want to. It depends on where he's going to play him. I don't want to see him wither away as a fullback. I want him to play centrally as one of the central defenders. I think that should be his role.
Well, yeah, I guess.
This is why I don't want Italian players to go to the Premier League. They can go to Real Madrid and France and Germany or whatever, but don't go to the Premier League. You end up in these situations where they just, I feel play.
Well, we'll see how he uses him. I mean, you never know. It wouldn't be. I mean, we've seen Arteta drop players that seem like they're shooter, like Ramsdale, for example, was doing great for Arsenal, then suddenly was dropped and they brought in Raya. It wouldn't totally surprise me if Gabriel, who has been very good, is dropped and Calafiori replaces him next to Saliba. It wouldn't surprise me.
They do have fantastic central defender options.
But they've got options there, haven't they? I mean, it would have probably been better. It would have been better for Calafiori career-wise to go to Juventus. There's no doubt about that.
If he stayed at Inter, Juve, anyway, just stay in Italy. It would have been much better. I mean, to be coached by Thiago Motta would have been the absolutely best choice because that was the coach.
I think he will grow tactically under Arteta. I think Arteta is a good.
I like Arteta.
He's a good tactician. He just takes whatever Pep does and copies it,
I'm not having a dig at Arteta. I'm just saying that I would have preferred for him to stay in Italy and continue to be coached by the coach that unleashed him. Thiago Motta from the national.
I agree, but more because I think he had the position there down to a T, all set up for him. But we'll see what happens to him. But together, those two, fantastic. But let's move on to the attack then. You want to talk about Raspadori first?
This is how you use Giacomo Raspadori. This is the role he's to play. You play a prima punta giant twin, one of the towers up front, and you let him play off of that guy. That's when he's at his best, when he can move centrally in between lines and in between spaces like that and link up and play out wide. He was outstanding. This is Raspadori. Raspadori is not a false nine. He's not a wide player. He's one of the two in the attack next to a big giant like Scamacca or Retegui. That's how you use him. And when he took out Pellegrini and brought on Raspadori, it was excellent game management. And Raspadori just came on and did what we know he can do when he's played in the right position, in the right system. And now I was thrilled to see Raspadori. Because I really like the player. I think there's a player there. And let's be honest, it's very much where does his career go from here kind of situation with him, isn't it?
Well, I think that he definitely, the role for him is in a front two. I think that's definitely clear now. You playing as a wide attacker in a 3, or playing as a wide attacker in a 4-2-3-1, same thing really, or playing as a like a number 10 in a 4-2-3-1. I don't think is his role, but also playing as a false 9, which we have seen him do and do decently for Spalletti. I'm thinking kind of in the winter of last year when he had a few decent games in that role. You're not going to get, I don't think you're ever going to get, especially with his size, you're ever going to get a Raspadori that has enough of the attributes to be the player that's needed if Italy are going to be what Italy should be. And for Raspadori to become the player that he has got, there's no doubt there's talent there, there's quality there. There's no doubt about that. He has technical qualities, but I think that he has to play in a front two to be able to show the best of him. And unfortunately, in modern football, not many teams play front twos, but two of them that are going to be playing a front two now are the two teams he plays for. It's the national team and Napoli we think Napoli under Antonio Conte. The problem is that obviously the front two for Napoli are going to be Kvara and Lukaku, so he's not going to get a starting shirt for Napoli.
3-4-2-1. So if he does, he has to play as one of the two behind.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's going to be the most interesting thing, because I believe in Antonio Conte when it comes to being able to get the best out of his disposal when his back is against the wall. Well, his back has been against the wall since the minute he sat foot in Naples. And so I have faith in both Buongiorno and Raspadori, but above all, to end the defense discussion, I have faith in Di Lorenzo as a right centre-back. I really do. Antonio Conte will fix that right.
Okay, well, I want to talk about Di Lorenzo in a minute when we talk about the negatives from this game. But just to finish off on the positives on the individuals, I just wanted to say again with Retegui, I thought he was very good again in this game. I think that he has already this season grown so much as an all-round player. I mean, we know he's a great goal scorer. We know he's great in the air. I mean, a great goal scorer, a great finisher. But from everything we'd seen up until this season, his all-round game, his link up with teammates, playing with the back to goal, his first touch, they weren't good enough. I'll be honest with you,
they are now.
Not good enough. But we've seen it. I mean, it's still too much of a small sample size.
Early.
It's still too much of a small sample size to say definitively.
100%.
But what we've seen in these first few weeks at Atalanta, first few games at Atalanta, is a player that so far in the games he's played this season is holding it up really well, is protecting it with his back to goal really well, is linking up with his teammates well. His touch seems to have improved. He seems to be smarter as well. Like he's winning free kicks as well. He buys time for his team, which he did in this game as well against France. And he's dangerous. He's dangerous.
Lethal in the penalty area.
I have to say, I didn't see him. I didn't see this game in him, and I've gone from being quite hopeless with Retegui to actually, again, hope is the word of today, actually starting to feel quite hopeful.
I've got to be honest
about
with you.
Retegui.
I agree with every single thing you said, and I never saw that he had these things you mentioned in his game either. I always saw him as a killer in the box. That this is a guy you give a chance, he'll kill it. Like that's what he is. And that's why I had him as capocannoniere in the Serie A, because Atalanta obviously creates so much and he's a killer. So, but I'm also very positively surprised by all the things that you excellently just detailed right there. And I agree with every single one of them. Adding to the end, it's too early. It's too soon. But the start, to say anything definitively, but the start has been wonderful for both club and country.
It really has. It really has. And it just shows that sometimes it's just, give these players a chance and you don't know what will come out of them.
Well, not how they would give them a chance, but give them the chance in the right environment. With
the right environment, yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean. Look, putting Retegui in with us with Atalanta is such a smart career move. It's a smart signing. It's a smart career move, and Italy will benefit from it. And I'm just hoping to see what Gasperini can do with Bellanova, because then you've got another guy on the. Because I mean, we're spoilt for choice on the left wing. Well, if he can unlock Bellanova's potential, then you've got Cambias and Bellanova on the right, the midfield, the defense. It's starting to come together.
Yeah.
And hope is the word, like you said.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But moving from all the positives, because I don't think we've spoken so positively about Italy
since Euro
since the
2021.
Euros.
I was going to say they won the Euros. Like it's just been nothing to talk about. It's been 3 years of abject misery.
I just want to
but it has.
Agreed. Yeah, I just want to touch on the negatives very quickly. There was really one negative in this game. I didn't think Pellegrini had a particularly great game, but nothing alarming there.
No.
But Di Lorenzo, of course, he's had a shocker here. The goal that Italy conceded, again, just another unforgivable mistake from Di Lorenzo that we've seen now, not just for Italy, but for Napoli.
Ci pensando. That's all I'm going to say.
He'll
fix that. He'll fix it. Don't worry. Antonio will fix that. Antonio from Lecce will sort that out. Give him a couple of months. I promise you. Like,
in the meantime, in this couple of months, though,
he shouldn't play for Italy.
Should Italy drop him now?
No, I think so. I think, but it's not going to happen. But at the same time, yes, you can say that. But at the same time, he's Spalletti's guy, and if Spalletti wants him in the team because he trusts him, he loves him, they love each other.
His son, didn't he call him his son?
He called him his son. I mean, you can't demand, like, if it's, of course there's going to be a point where Spalletti is going to be, I'm sorry, Giovanni, but again, I'm not worried because he's got Antonio Conte at club level. So I'm not, it would have been, if he was playing in a team where they play with a back four and he was a fullback, I'd be more worried. But since he's got Antonio Conte there, Antonio Conte just needs time to mold him into that role. And that's the role he's going to play for the national team as well. So all I'm going to say is stay calm and let Antonio Conte take the wheel.
This is the biggest weakness. The biggest weakness with Di Lorenzo, even when he was at his best, was he doesn't smell danger.
No.
And even if you go back to the Euro 2024 final Euro 2020 final, and Di Lorenzo had a great tournament in that tournament.
Yeah,
but look at the goal that Italy conceded in the final from Luke Shaw. He's there at the back post, Di Lorenzo, and he's just got no awareness or smelling any of the danger that's behind him.
Yeah,
Luke
but
Shaw.
I think that's a little bit unfair. I mean, you know that when you play against a team that's 3-5-2, that extra man.
Exactly, that's my point.
It's difficult.
He doesn't barely even look around to see Shaw behind him. I mean, as a defender, as a fullback, you've got to be aware all the time. You've got to be looking. You've got to think that there's the possibility of a player coming, and you've got to look around. And he was. That's what I mean. But he doesn't smell danger.
But the thing is, in that game, in that particular, I understand what you're saying, and I get it. But I just think that example to me is a little bit unfair because that's the advantage of playing a 3-5-2 against a team with a back four, is that you've got that. You need your midfielders to help out and drop deep, and be good in the air so that you can push out wide. And when you're on the transition, like England hit Italy, it's that goal will always come, or that chance will always come. But I get what you're saying. I do feel that sometimes he's not as...
He doesn't get tight on his man. He doesn't stop crosses in. Those
are true. But at the same time, he does have a very high footballing IQ. And I do think that, like, the way that he should be utilized is, I think Spalletti's the right man. Spalletti and Conte are the right man in charge of that particular project. Or if we want to use a medical analogy of that patient, because it's clear that the patient, Giovanni Di Lorenzo, is sick. And who else in footballing terms? Well, who would I trust to cure the patient? Well, no one more than Antonio Conte and Luciano Spalletti, honest to God. And I see the sicknesses that you're saying, and I kind of agree with them. But I do think that, look, there also some of it is down to form and confidence. He has had a torrid year. He has had a horrible 12 months. And that kind of thing bites, niggles away at your confidence. I think he just needs to find himself again. And I have no faith, no doubts that he will. I really don't.
Yeah. Who would you replace him with in the time being? Like who is there for the right centre? And obviously if Scalvini wasn't ACL'd, he would be probably the obvious.
Gianluca Mancini. I'd play Gianluca Mancini there. I think
over Gatti?
Yeah, I think Gianluca Mancini has shown maturity over the last couple of seasons, especially as to the right of a back four as well as to the right of a back three. That I think he deserves it. I really do. I think he's polished away a lot of the nonsense that we were all very critical of, and I also think that he's a very, very underrated passer of the ball. But with the difference, of course, being that he's very good in the air. So I would play Mancini. And it was also, he is a mean SOB. He gets in people's faces. And I don't want too many good choir boys, nice, good, clean-cut choir boys in my defense. I want pricks. Okay, I want douchebags. Every defense needs a douchebag. And I think Mancini, for me, he ticks all those boxes. And also because I think he's much more polished than he was a couple of seasons ago. I think it would be unfair to him to say that this is a Gianluca Mancini of 2-3 years ago. I think it's a much more polished and mature player. So for me, I think he should be in the squad as well, and he should be a rotation player, absolutely. Perhaps even a starter. I think of all the players that we've discussed, based on merit and form alone, I think Mancini's probably the closest to the lineup, when everyone's injury-free, that is.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever you use that choir boy reference, I always think of The Godfather and the "I'm no band leader" quote from what was his name, Waltz, where he goes, "I'm no band leader." I don't know why, but that always.
I don't know why you make that as something. I thought you were going to say the horrible scene when Michael is accepts to be Godfather, and that scene where he says, "Do you denounce Satan?" and all his, whilst he's ordered the hit of the heads of the 5 families. One of the greatest scenes of all time in cinema, by the way.
Oh, there's so many of them. Of them. Yes, right. Let's move on then from The Godfather to, well, first of all, before we get to Ricci, I do want to say, though, France's performance was really, really bad.
Yeah, they were poor.
As much as we praised Italy, I think France were also played a part in that. Tactically, they were a complete mess, I thought, in this game. Okay, they did have a few players missing, but they still had most of their starting 11 there. I do think Deschamps has stayed too long now. I think it's just gone stale now. I think they should have changed him. I really do. I think he's. We saw at the Euros that they were awful at the Euros, But the one thing I did want to talk about is France. Like, for as much as we praise France for producing probably like no other nation over the last 10 years, and still today, no one produces as many top quality players in Europe as France do. It's unbelievable, the abundance of players they have. But they don't produce ball playing centre midfielders. We saw that in the Euros. They're just athletic runners, athletes that run and press, good defensively. Strong and powerful, but when they've got the ball at their feet, they can't do much with it. They can't control possession. They can't create. They can't really, create chances or break the lines with passes. And I think we saw that again in this game. And the performance from an Italian Serie A point of view, the performance of Fofana was really, really. If I'm a Milan fan watching that game, Fofana, your big centre midfield signer, he was horrendous. The amount of times.
Did you see that report? Speaking of Milan, did you see that report about Mike Mignon in the dressing room?
Yeah.
Apparently, allegedly saying that Italy only have 2 players that get into our team.
I did see that. Yeah. I did see that.
I don't know how true that is, but
Fofana and Kante definitely wouldn't get in the early team, nor would Klaus at the right back. And looking at our centre defenders, I don't think Konate certainly wouldn't get into our back four. I mean, I think that's exaggerated.
Saliba to the right as a right back in a back three. Give me now.
Oh, for sure. Even he was terrible in this game. I mean, his defending
This is Deschamps. It's exactly
on
like
the
you said. It's gone
Raspadori.
stale. It's exactly like you said. You're spot on about that. He's been there for what, 10 years now?
12 years.
12 years. I mean, it's time to move on. You've won a World Cup. You've been in another World Cup final. You've been to the Euros. You lost that final. Like, it's time for someone else to come in. And to me, there's only one candidate, and that's Zidane. Like, there's only one.
Zidane's been there waiting for.
He has been patiently waiting.
He has been very patient. I mean, I'm just wondering when the headbutt's coming out because he has been so patient. He's like, for the last 3 tournaments, he's basically been waiting to take over. And it's been like, oh, go on, I'll stay. Deschamps is like, I'll stay on for another couple of years, And
he's been very, very calmly waiting there. No, I think Zidane should take over. I think Zidane commands the respect of the players, and also yes, he took over a fantastic team in Real Madrid, but he still did win that many Champions League in a row. Like, you can't take that away from him. No. And that to me suggests that that he does have something.
He is good at a bit like Ancelotti. He's good at handling a dressing room full of superstars and being able to command the respect and control. I think that is the one thing that he is good at. For sure. So,
I think also that what he's able to do is he's able to also build a system where stars all kind of put the best of the team ahead of their own good. I don't think Deschamps can do that. I feel this notion of playing Mbappe centrally, come hell or high water, is not good for France, and it makes France unbalanced. I don't know if this system is the right way. Is it a formation issue? Is it an identity issue? Well, Deschamps has no attacking identity, for starters.
No, French Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's actually a very good analogy. I think it's spot on. It's vibes. Hey guys, here's the ball. Go out and have fun. But it's Zidane wouldn't do that. We know he wouldn't do that. But I also don't think he would allow Mbappe to walk around the pitch either and look as disinterested as he does. And that, I think, is the kind of thing that, I think if Zidane took over, he'd probably win so much with them that he'd probably stay there for as long as he wanted to. Nobody would remove him. He's already Zinedine Zidane with the French public and the French players. He's an icon. So I really think for France's sake, they get rid of. Well, for France's sake, if I've got my French glasses on, I'd say I hope they get rid of Deschamps as soon as possible. If I'm wearing my Italian glasses, I hope Deschamps stay there forever because they're not going to win anything with him anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I agree. Let's do this profile then on Samuele Ricci. Samuele Ricci, who was the breakout star, let's say, of this win against France in Paris. His first competitive start for the international team, only his 3rd cap for Italy. He was absolutely magnificent. So he's 23 years old. He's a central midfielder, very complete midfielder, very tactically versatile in the midfield. I mean, he can play as a holding midfielder, almost like a regista, like he was in this game. But he can also play as a mezzala, which he's often played for Torino. But he is quite complete. He's good technically, he covers the ground, he's good positionally, he can tackle and duel, but he can pass well. He can do a bit of everything. He's well built physically. He's over 6 foot. He's got personality, which we saw against France. He always wants the ball to take responsibility. Very, very complete. The only thing really missing, I think, in terms of completeness, is he doesn't score enough, and he's not enough of a goal threat in terms of goals and assists. But in terms of like basic attributes, technically and physically, and like probably even mentally, I think he ticks pretty much all the boxes. Don't you say, Nima?
I absolutely love this little guy. He's not little, but I call him little guy because he was a little kid when I discovered him at Empoli. He is from Tuscany. He's born near Pisa, and he came to Empoli in 2017 when he was just 16 years old. And of course, at Empoli, he found the perfect environment. And it's funny because even though he's been, his role on the pitch, he's been, compared to Sandro Tonali or Pirlo in terms of being a mezzalo or regista. He's on the record as saying that his idol or his inspiration is Ronaldinho. I think he's more Jorginho than he is any of those players, if I'm going to make any comparisons. And I don't really like doing these comparisons. He's the secondary assist man. He's not one that will score lots of goals and assists, but he's the one that makes that secondary assist before the goals or assists are made. I think he's got an incredible football IQ. I love how patient he is with the ball. No, I really, really, really like him. And he also has a very good, he can shoot from distance. He really does.
But unlike Jorginho, he's physical. He can be physical as well. Like he competes, doesn't he? Like whereas that, and he's obviously. I'm not saying he's quick, but he can get around the pitch.
He has dynamism.
Whereas Jorginho can't get around the pitch. Obviously, that's always been his weakness. That a bit like Lobotka, over short distances, he's very good in tight spaces. But I think Ricci is good in tight spaces. But what I mean is that he's good over. He can get across the pitch, which is important, I think, and that's something we obviously were lacking in the Euros. We were lacking pace and legs, let's say, in the team. And a very, very, very impressive performance for Ricci. And he, like you said, he started his career at Empoli, who have an amazing youth academy to develop so many talented youngsters in the last years. I mean, just from their academy, I mean, Fazzini, Baldanzi, Aslani, Hamid Traore, and then if we're going further back, players like Di Natale, Montella. I mean, these are just the academy players, but then we're not even talking about the young talents that have kind of passed through and become stars thanks to Empoli. In recent years, we're looking at Benacer and Vicario and Parisi. I mean, that's just three recent examples. So he's just another, isn't he? From Empoli.
He is. And Alessio Dionisi coached him in Serie B, and he was actually named the player of the Serie B of that season when they won promotion.
Yeah.
So no, Empoli and Atalanta, Italy should really thank these two clubs for giving Italian players a chance, and not just giving Italian players a chance, but creating an environment where young Italian talented players can express themselves, can play themselves, can improve, and take the next step. When he moved to Torino, and I think together, I think this is his third season, but that duo, Ilic and I love that. I honestly think that right now, watching those two play in central midfield is probably what I enjoy the most about the Serie A. Just the way that they complement each other in central midfield is just truly wonderful to watch.
Yeah, no, they are definitely two players that are set for bigger clubs, and that raises the question of kind of what is the future for Ricci.
If there's any club screaming for him, it's Milan.
Well, that's. I'm glad you mentioned them, because Milan did try to sign Ricci when he was at Empoli before he joined Torino, and they were again heavily linked. I don't know how concrete the interest was, but they were heavily linked with him at Torino, even going into this summer. Not so much during the summer, but kind of like earlier on in the year, like end of last season, when they were looking ahead to this summer. He was linked to Milan. Obviously, eventually they've gone for Fofana. Time will tell on how well Fofana does. He was horrendous, Fofana, in this game, and Ricci outplayed him in this game. So I'm not going to judge on one game. But
Inter as well. I mean, Çalhanoğlu ain't getting any younger, and if
Inter and Napoli have been linked with him,
yeah.
Beppe Marotta is reportedly a big fan. But obviously, the big one this summer was Lazio. Lazio tried to sign Ricci this summer. They had an offer of 18 million rejected, and Cairo, the Torino president, was asking for 25 to 30 million. But having said that, though, Ricci's contract runs out in 2026. So that makes it pretty clear.
Please don't sign a contract extension.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's pretty clear. He either signs a contract extension between now and the next summer, or he's going to leave. That's
please,
obvious.
Footballing gods, please hear my call.
Yeah.
Two things. Ricci, don't sign a contract extension with Torino, because otherwise Cairo will sell him to the Premier League, which is my second thing I want to ask you of. Please do not go to the Premier League. Go to Spain, go to France, go to Germany, stay in Italy. Do not go to the Premier League. Please, God.
The thing is with Ricci is you wonder after a performance like this on the global stage, everybody would have seen this win, this performance. Whether is there the risk of him doing a Calafiori, where this was the opportunity for the Serie A clubs to sign him this summer, and now his price is going to skyrocket. I mean, I think there's less chance of that because the Euros is such a huge stage. It's a tournament, and whereas UEFA Nations League qualification group games are not that, and nor is Serie A. So I think that, and also with his value of his contract running down, which wasn't the case with Calafiori, I think that probably eliminates that. But Serie A teams, the point is that Serie A teams have to act before the Premier League teams come in, because once they come in, then it's game over, basically. And that's what happened.
Even if he went to bloody Spain, I'd rather see him go there because I think that kind of football suits him better,
I want to see him go to a step up to one of the bigger Serie A teams, and that's why, again, listen, it's one game. We can't get carried away. We need to see him doing this over, I want him to stay in the team now for Italy. I want him to get a run of games. I'm glad Spalletti gave him the chance, because these are the kind of players that Spalletti should be testing and bedding into the national team. If they don't work, they don't work, but we're better off trying them than going back to known players that we know are not good enough. Cristante, there's just no point going back to a Cristante. We know he's not good enough. So what is the point? You might as well test out a player who is a bit of an unknown quantity, maybe hasn't had the chance to play on a high level. And it's a case of, play him. If he's not good enough, he's not good enough. But at least you've tried, rather than playing a player like Cristante where they're not good enough and you're not going to learn anything and you're not going to progress. And that's why I'm glad Spalletti played him. And I think, let's hope that he gets a run in the team now. And we'll see, because Italy really could do with... We've said, haven't we, that Italy need a regista. We are missing a regista. We don't have, even though the talented centre midfielders that we do have, like Barella, like Tonali, they're not registas. They're not natural registas. That's what we need. We need it. And then Ricci can be that man potentially, can't he now? So, I'm excited and hopeful to see where Ricci goes from here. I just think that from Milan's point of view, you see a performance like this and you think, why didn't they go for him this summer? You went for Fofana again, another foreign player. Again, time will tell with Fofana, but right now, after this performance, people are going to start asking the question, why did you sign Fofana instead of Ricci?
Yeah, but that would be a little bit too reactionary, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah. It would be. I'm only posing the question. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying that's what I believe. I'm just raising that question. That's all. But I hope that it's right, because if it's right, it means that Ricci goes on to have a great career and become a mainstay of Italy and join a bigger club. Then yeah, I absolutely hope that. Okay, right. The show's been quite long today, so we'll go
today. That's what we do now. We're essentially we do these 2-hour lectures.
I know. Just very, very quickly, two issues. First of all, Osimhen has joined Galatasaray since our last show. 1 year loan, 10 million. Paying the 10 million in salary that would be owed to him. No transfer fee. Release clause halved. I mean, this is a disaster for Osimhen. It's disaster for Napoli. Osimhen can praise Galatasaray in the Turkish league as much as he wants, but Osimhen in the prime of his career at 25 years old, moving to Turkey to play out a season because you couldn't get a move to a big club. I mean, what a mess. And what a mess for Napoli. No transfer fee. He just has to play another year where they're paying his salary, but his value's not gonna increase playing in Galatasaray. I mean, it's just a shambles.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's quite. I mean, they had to do something. You can't have Osimhen sitting on the bench for however long, and you can't afford to pay his wages. So they just made it easy. Don't pay us anything. Just take his wages off our hands for a year. it's up to Osimhen to show that he can do something and then get sold next summer, because it's an absolutely ridiculous situation. Maybe even in January, who knows? But I doubt it. I don't think anyone's going to spend that kind of money. I mean, who knows? Premier League side, he has a good time. He does well in for Gala and in Europe. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hummels and Hermoso both joining Roma, both free transfers.
Did Manolas complete as well?
I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did. That would have been really weird, signing 3 free transfers. But yeah, I don't think so. No, he's still sort of free agent. Yeah. Yeah, what do you make of Hummels going to? We know Hermoso will be a steady option, but what do you make of Hummels, 35, going to Roma?
I think it's a leader. You're bringing a leader into the dressing room. You're bringing incredible experience, and you're bringing in someone who can be, if having a experienced striker to lead the younger troops is the Milan model, well, based on Chris Smalling, aka Smaldini, then this is the Roma model, to bring in someone experienced to lead the younglings from defense, from the back, and it's I think it's a smart signing, even if he doesn't play a minute, because Mats Hummels is Mats Hummels. He's one of the greatest defenders of this last generation. Look at everything he's done, look at everything he's won, look at how important he's been in so many important teams. He will bring experience and he will bring leadership to that team, which sometimes we've discussed can be a little bit lack that defensively. So I think De Rossi's brought in a character more than anything. Hermoso, I think, is a very. I think he's going to start. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's looking good defensively for Roma now, I think.
It depends. It's interesting because they've got four really kind of good centre backs now for 2 positions if they're playing a back 4. Unless they
play 3, then
yeah, that's what I wonder. That's what makes me think, or maybe he alternates. That does make me think they might go to a back 3, because you've got 4 starters there really, and I don't think any of them are going to be happy if they're not playing regularly. To be honest with you, Mancini and Ndika.
Ndika,
the other one.
Ndika, Hermoso, Mancini, Hummels. No, to me, that's got back 3 written all over it. Whether it's a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-2-1 remains to be seen.
I think so, but I think there's a potential of that.
But I mean, the team Roma's already played like that, and they've done so really well. And if you want to get the best out of Pellegrini and Dybala, I think that's what you got to do, don't you? I mean, I don't know.
Well, possibly to get the best out of Dybala, possibly, but then how do you get him and Sule in the same team, whatever system you play?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, but like you said, he could alternate. So
for sure. That. Okay, Nima has strong-armed me into doing my revised Serie A predictions.
Because I did.
I'll be totally honest with everybody listening. I've done no preparation for this. I was going to prepare for it just before we went on, and then there was a massive thunderstorm here in Bedford, and the power went down and everything was chaotic for a while, so I lost the time I was going to use to prepare my predictions tonight, so I haven't done it. I'm going to have to do it now on the fly, so if these go horribly wrong, I've got an excuse that a thunderstorm.
How on God's name are you blaming a thunderstorm for your Serie A predictions?
Listen, if Empoli can say they didn't have enough time to get their pitch ready from June to August, then I can blame the thunderstorm for not.
It's the worst excuse. This is becoming one of those like Mazzarri blaming, and then it started to rain, like iconic when he started blaming diarrhea and rain for losing. It's just a bit of fun. Come on, give us your predictions.
Okay, winners.
Classifica. Yeah.
Okay, right. Winners. I'm going to have to go for Inter, because for reasons I've said probably last week. I think that Juventus can definitely challenge them, and I do think Napoli as well, because they're playing once a week. I do think Juventus and Napoli can challenge, but I mean, if you're sitting here now and you have to pick a winner, you go for Inter, because they've got the best team, they've got the best squad, they've got the deepest squad, they've got a fantastic manager, but they've got, more importantly, they've got the experience, and they've got the players at the right age as well, and for that reason, I think you have to go for Inter. But I do think that Juventus are going to have a very good season. I think that Napoli as well, playing once a week and with Conte and with Lukaku, you can already see what he's going to bring, him and Kvara. I think they're going to have a good season as well. So I think that's your top three. I think
So Inter first, then Juve, then Napoli?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll go Juve second, Napoli third.
Okay. Who's going to finish fourth?
Fourth, I mean, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment and go for and say Milan. I'm not going to top four. I'm going to stick with Milan.
Yeah,
I'm going to stick with Milan for now. I think that they're going to have to turn it around. It's only still very early in the season. If Fonseca gets sacked, someone will come in. I think
Maurizio Sarri just moonwalks in there and starts turning.
Yeah, but listen, if Morata was to get a serious injury, then maybe I might start wondering. But yeah, I think Milan fourth, Atalanta fifth, Roma sixth. So it hasn't really changed that much from my predictions through the transfer market. Seventh, though, is so difficult. It really is difficult. I mean, I think I've said that I think that the points tally for seventh is going to be one of the lowest that we've had in recent seasons. I think whoever comes seventh is going to is going to drop a lot of points. So for that reason, I think that there is always the possibility of a surprise team coming seventh. You know, a team that maybe we didn't expect. But from what I've seen so far, I probably would go Lazio. Actually, I probably would go Lazio for
seventh.
For seventh, yeah.
So we've got. I'm just trying to compare. I'm just trying to compare our comparison. Like I've got Juve, you've got Inter for winning, and
we've got the same top three.
Yeah, we have the same top four. But who have you got fifth? Did you say
Atalanta?
Okay, I've got Roma, and sixth you got Roma.
Sixth, I've got Roma.
Yeah,
and seventh, I've got Lazio. I mean, I was edging towards Fiorentina at first, but then
I've got them eighth.
From what I've seen so far of them, yeah, then they're not really. They're not.
I've got them eighth and Torino ninth, and then Bologna 10th.
Yeah, I'm not going to do my whole 20.
But what about who have you got?
But for relegation, I'll do relegation. For relegation, I'm thinking at this moment Venezia for sure.
For sure,
Venezia.
Who else? I've got Empoli and Como, 2019 and 18. Venezia last, then Empoli, then Como.
Yeah, because Empoli have started well.
Yeah, they have.
They've started well, Empoli. I think I am. I mean, I'm looking at the teams, looking at the quality of the team. I have to go Empoli. I have to go Empoli. Based on the team right now, again, I would have to go Como, but
you never know.
I'm saying that with the caveat that I expect them to spend like mad Salernitana style in January. And so let me just say that I see Como in the relegation zone in January. Let me say that. And then we'll go again at the end of January and pick our three relegations.
Who's your capocannoniere?
Capocannoniere is you know what? I feel like Mikel Arteta here. And Nima is Pep Guardiola, but I'm thinking Retegui might win it. You know, I'm starting to think Retegui might be the top scorer. I might have to copy you on that one. You know?
Go for it.
I'm Mikel Arteta here. I'm Mr. Bean in the exam episode, or Fabrizio Romano in the transfer market.
Oh, watch it. He might send you an angry DM.
Yeah. I think Retegui, yeah. Because you know why? I'm also looking at this from a logical point of view. He'll take the penalties. Whoever wins the Capocannoniere usually takes penalties as well.
Well, except for Lautaro, because he's off and he was crap at them. But I know what you mean. And also, Atalanta are going to create so many chances. Like they're going to create so many chances, and you know when you play for Atalanta that you're going to get lots of bites at goal. And if you are a killer in the box. Just by
realistically, I don't think there's that many that could be top scorer this season. I think you're looking at Lautaro. I know you think Thuram could be,
Thuram. But I think Lautaro's going for the I think Champions League is on his mind.
Well, okay, let's say an Inter striker, Vlahovic, if you can get it together.
Vlahovic for sure.
Lukaku, if you can get it together, and I guess you could maybe add Kvara to that.
Kvara.
And then apart from that, I think Retegui's really the only other one that you could probably throw in there, because I don't think you could make a case for a Milan player. I think
Leao will get it together, and they will get it together.
I just don't ever see the consistency with Leao to ever be a top scorer in the league. But you know, who knows? Apart from that, Roma, no, I don't see someone from Roma scoring enough goals.
No, I think Dovbyk
could if they played to his strengths, but they're not at the moment. And
I'm a little bit worried about Dovbyk. I'm thinking he could be a flop of the season.
He will if they carry on playing the way that they're playing. But
that's a fair point.
I don't think De Rossi's stupid. I think he knows.
No, he's not.
He knows what he needs for Dovbyk. I think they will start trying to play to his strengths.
So who have you got as Coppa Italia winner? I've got Inter for Coppa Italia and Supercoppa.
Coppa Italia. Napoli.
At Coppa Italia?
Coppa Italia, Napoli. Because I think that they're not playing in Europe. Conte likes playing his full-strength team all the time. And I think he'll play his full-strength team in the Coppa Italia. I think he'll go for it.
What about Supercoppa?
Supercoppa, I mean, who cares? But
well, last season the Saudis cared. They were furious when the Serie A sent Fiorentina, Lazio, and Napoli, and they were expecting Inter, Milan, Juve. They were like, "What are these doing here?" They were really pissed off. They weren't quite sure about how the format worked, and they were like, "Why have you sent these two? We asked, we want Inter, Milan, and Juve. You've only sent Inter." It was very, very, very funny. The
Inter. I'll go with Inter.
Breakout player, Dennis Mann. I've got.
Yeah.
Parma.
Yeah. From what we've seen so far, it's hard to argue with that. But just to add a second one, I think I did say in my prediction, I did say
Liberali. No.
Who?
You didn't say Liberali?
He was one of my 5, yeah. He was one of my 5, but I mean, they have to play him. Do you know what I mean? And now
who have you got?
I had Brescianini as
that's a good shout.
As my other one, and I think that's almost been proven correct already. Whatever happens now, he's already playing for Atalanta, and he's got his cap for Italy. He's in the Italy national.
How old is Brescianini again?
I think he's about 24. I think. Yeah.
So who you have your under 21 breakout player? I've got Fazzini.
Breakout or best player? I think
breakout.
Who did you have?
Fazzini at Empoli.
Oh god. Okay. Well, because of the thunderstorm, I'm doing this on the fly.
Because of the thunderstorm. Carlo Mazzarri. E poi è cominciato a piovere.
Who else is there? I mean,
well, you could have Liberali, but they need to play him. But Coyote, if they need to play him, I've got him. I've got Coyote as my MVP because I'm trying to shoehorn him into. I'm trying to talk it into existence that they play the guy.
I'll come back to under 21s in a minute.
What about your old Serie A MVP? I got Cup miners because I think you are going to win, and usually the winner of the league.
I'm going to go Kvara.
Even if you think Inter are going to win and not Napoli, that's interesting.
Well, he's my MVP. He's not the league's MVP.
Okay. I've gone with the league's MVP.
The league's MVP, they'll always pick the winner. So
that's what I mean.
In that case,
that's why I picked it on Cup winners.
I'm going to go for Kvara.
Okay.
He had about 12 shots in the last game, so that shows how involved he's going to be.
Yeah, he's going to have.
He set a record. He set a league record.
What about dark horse to win the Serie A? I have Atalanta.
Oh gosh!
Basically, if we have a surprise winner, which team has the best chance?
How many categories have you got?
3 more.
God.
We're doing this properly. This is serious stuff, Carlo.
I mean, you can't call Juventus or Milan dark horses. So you have to go Atalanta, don't you? Just by default, really. Yeah.
What about which team in the Serie A do you think will go the farthest in the Champions League? I've got Inter and Atalanta quarterfinals.
Yeah, agreed. Inter and Atalanta quarterfinals. I think Juventus. We're going to do a preview show on Monday, so I don't want to give away everything. We're doing a preview show on Monday for the Champions League stage. So I don't want to say any more than that.
What do you think of Fiorentina and Roma's chances in Europa League and Conference League?
Fiorentina and Roma. I mean, Fiorentina will be dependent on who they play. Because last season they got to the final playing badly throughout the whole competition, but because they were playing against Bedford Sunday League teams, they managed to get all the way to the final. So they probably could still do well, even though they were awful. They got outplayed by an art academy in the academy. Did you watch those 2 games? They got outplayed.
Yeah.
The second leg, they were absolutely outplayed. They were so lucky to win the game. De Gea saved them. Yeah. But you think they'll improve.
That's a sentence you don't want to be saying in 2024. De Gea saved them.
Yeah, well, he did.
I know it's true, but I'm just saying, if you're a Fiorentina fan, that's not the sentences you want to be uttering in
No.
the beginning of the season. So cool. No.
Yeah.
What do you? I still
Under
think
21s. I'll go with. Hang on. Let's have a look. I'm going to pick an Italian. Sorry, I apologise to everyone that this is very, very
improvised.
and unprofessionally done. We're all usually very, very well organised, but again,
we are. But I mean, this. I think people appreciate this too.
Well, that's why they like the Q&A episodes, aren't they? Because everything is done improvised. Let's have a look.
No, I've got Fazzini. I think is gone.
I think Fazzini. I'm going to pick an Italian player because I'm looking at the other Italian under 21 players that could break through. I mean, Savona at Juventus could potentially be one.
And what's the Mbangula could be one.
Yeah, I'm not sure he has the quality Mbangula, but Savona has been quite good so far. Actually, very surprisingly. He's 21. Savona. Oh no, Ruggeri's 22. And he's probably already broken out. We'd say Pizzilli, maybe.
Yeah,
Pizzilli could be one at Roma to watch out for.
Go for it.
Maybe Miretti. Right. Maybe Miretti at Genoa could be somebody to.
I'm glad you just didn't say Fagioli or anything like that.
Fagioli's older than that, though.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry. I was just fooled by the Serie A's.
I mean, I think Conceição is still 21, isn't he?
Yeah,
in Juventus.
Yeah,
but he's almost like too well known to call a breakout. So.
Yeah,
and he's injured for a month as well. Typical, eh?
You sound so sad when you say it. Right. Oh dear. Yeah, that's great. That's our predictions. Make sure to remind us of them. I put all mine out in a tweet so we can compare at the end of the season.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
Come on.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Let's. I'll read out the fixtures for the weekend because we won't be doing another show. We won't be doing a preview show for the weekend. We will be doing. We're doing a big Champions League group stage preview or competition show, which is going to be I think everybody will like, and that will be coming out I think on Tuesday this week.
Indeed.
And we'll also have we've got a few other little bits and pieces as well, but not a preview, not like a show like today that we do in the midweek. So
and also, we also did an interview with Maduka Okoye, which we put out like on Friday last week. Yeah. Or sorry, this week. We're recording this on a Sunday. The days are just muddled for me. 2 days ago, we put out an interview with Udinese's Maduka Okoye, which has been very widely reported all over in Italian media. So make sure to check that out. It was a really nice interview. Yeah. He's quite a nice guy. Very relaxed and chilled out, fun guy.
Very, very chilled guy. Yeah, very chilled.
It was fun to hear him talk about his idols. He's very outspoken. Let's put it that way. He doesn't like. He's very
very honest. Yeah, he's
very honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honest is a good word.
Honest, not outspoken, because nothing was mean.
No. It was honest.
Yeah.
Honest is a better word.
Como, Bologna, Empoli, Juventus, Milan, Venezia, Genoa, Roma, Atalanta, Fiorentina, Torino, Lecce, Cagliari, Napoli, Monza, Inter, Parma, Udinese, Lazio, Verona. Those are your fixtures for the weekend. Now let's finish off with Baggio, Premface and Serie Ass of the week. So Baggio, I mean, I guess we could have the whole Italy team really, other than apart from Di Lorenzo.
That team goal for me, that move, the reaction. I mean, it's just
magnificent.
The cambiasso to Dimarco, to Tonali, to Dimarco, it was just beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. But if I'm going to pick out two individuals, I think I'll go Ricci and Tonali. Ricci kind of been a breakthrough performance for him, and Tonali for his, without playing for a year, to come in and produce a performance like that. And that was, showed just what a great player he is and what we've missed. And my other Baggio of the week is a non-football one, and I'm risking jinxing this. So we'll put this to the test on this. So we're recording this before the US Open final between Yannick Sinner and Fritz. The
Fritz.
That's it. I'd forgotten his first name.
Sabatini. I just love when you say this surname.
Oh, you know what I learned the other day? Did you know that Sabatini's auntie, Gabriella Sabatini,
the tennis player.
Did you know she dated Donald Trump in the late 1980s? Did you know that?
Get out of here!
I'm serious. That was my reaction when I saw the news as well. Yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely stunned by that.
That's brilliant.
I saw that the other day, and I thought, right, when I get an opportunity to mention that on the pod, I'm going to do it. And there you go, straight away. You give me that opportunity.
Gabriele Sabatini.
Yeah. Could have been Mrs. Trump. No.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, can you imagine a tennis player? Imagine if they had they produced a tennis player, the Trump and Sabatini. Could you imagine? Be like the next McEnroe, wouldn't it, on court?
Hilarious. I did not know that about Gabriela Sabatini, that she dated Donald Trump. I'd never heard that.
Yeah, no, true story. I hope I don't jinx this, but yeah, Yannick Sinner for winning the US Open. There we go.
Oh, that's very unlikely,
there we go.
Given the witchcrafts that you believe in.
I know. Premface of the week. I don't really have a Premface, really, other than just the whole furore in the British press about Lee Carsley not singing the English national anthem during the England-Ireland game.
Cares?
I mean, it's 2024. I mean, are we really still there about singing national anthems?
Who cares? Well, how is this
It's issue? Also pretty self-explanatory. He played for Ireland national team. I mean, what do you expect him to do?
I was going to say, isn't he of Irish descent?
Yeah.
So what do you want him to do? This is just childish.
But this is just, again, like what the English mean. They blow up, like they make a mountain out of
absolutely nothing. It's not even a molehill. It's nothing. It's nothing there. It's flat. It's asphalt. Like there's nothing there. It's completely just, who gives? He's already been very respectful and said this is the greatest honor of his professional career. That's it. But everyone has to debate this and, let's all get outraged.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Serie Ass of the week.
Oh, this is so funny. I don't know if you saw it. I tagged you on Twitter.
Yeah, I did see. Tell me the full story.
So basically, again, I just want to make this clear. Of course, Juventus have a legal right to do this, but the fact that they actually put their lawyers to do this is hilarious to me. So one of our patrons, Art Morelli, he's been like since they had their third child. He's been, his wife went back to work. He's just been, filling his days, taking care of the kids, doing funny, putting together, like, selling T-shirts, which he gives away like 10, 15, 20% to charity. So it's not like he's making money off of it. He's just doing it to his friends and followers, and he's just, having fun with it, right? And Juventus lawyers sent him a letter which can be described as a cease and desist letter. They sent it to what's it called? To the platform where he's where he's hosting his T-shirt business, and it's like I can read it here. It's a letter before action. Dear sirs, we write to you in order to, and it's got the Juventus lawyer, and it's got, like, they've sent it to the platform that hosts it, and says, dear sirs, we write you in order to report a merchant agreement violation by the website, and then they've linked to it. And then they've said, we sent this letter only to your attention, given that said website does not include any information on the identity of the individual that actually runs it. The website is currently offering for sale products that infringe Juventus's rights. And then they've literally sent screenshots and links, and it's a 5-page long letter of screenshots from Art Morelli's internet shop of T-shirts. He sold 21 of them. Do you know what I mean? There's no volume here. And then they're really going down, and they signed it, the lawyers and chief legal officer and legal manager of Juventus. Therefore, Juventus, without prejudice to all its other rights, requests you to immediately take down the pages. And it's I couldn't stop laughing, because of course they have a legal right to do it. But I'm like, how can you care? It's not like he sold thousands or even hundreds. He sold 21 shirts to his friends, of which he gave away most of the money to charity anyway.
Yeah.
It's this, oh God.
Unfortunately, I mean, it's listen, first of all, well done to Art for, it's great that he's doing stuff for charity. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Unfortunately though, I've seen this so much with small businesses, really tiny businesses like the size of arts. This is what these corporations do everywhere, not just in the football world. I mean, we've seen it with football websites. So if we're talking about football websites, YouTube pages, tiny YouTube pages, like the smallest people that have got not even like 1,000. Have got like 1,000 YouTube subscribers, and you get clubs. I mean, unfortunately, they're just very aggressive with this, and you just think that a lot of it is unnecessary, but. I mean, yeah, it's just how it is. I mean, we have to be very careful, like with our cake shop. Like, when if we do cakes, football themed cakes and stuff. Yeah, we have to be very, very careful. We can't advertise to sell any or try and even though we're just a small business. It's just, yeah, it's just.
But it's childish. Like, here's the thing. I think it's just, to me, it's ridiculous because. Yes, I understand how copyright law works, but the very idea to me that the chief legal officer and the head of legal at Juventus spent time to put this document together.
No, that for sure is ridiculous. The way that they've gone and made not, I don't want to say such a big thing, but that they've gone through such trouble with and to present it in such a big way. That is ridiculous. The fact that art has received this is nothing unusual about it. Unfortunately.
No, of course it's not.
There's nothing unusual, and even the fact that he's so small and he's only sold 21
to Juventus fans.
That there's no surprise in that because I've seen it. I've seen it with so many small businesses that we deal with. That happens, but
all the time.
It's just the way that they presented it is a bit ridiculous. But I guess it's just
that's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. That's exactly my point, because I know for a fact that these companies all scour the internet. They have legal teams to scour and protect their brands and blah, blah. I get all that, right? But like everyone understands that. My issue is he sent us the letter and he gave me express permission to read the letter on the pod because I asked him. And it's just I can't stop laughing that they just the document. It's like that someone would take so much. Like how is this harming Juventus? Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's just I find this a gross overreaction. And if anything, I'm sorry, but like the logos he's used are logos. They're not new logos. They're like, we're talking these ancient retro stuff, because that's most of the stuff he does. It's like really old school retro, but with a flavor, like with a new twist to it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not, Juventus have really not suffered any damage here. And it's not about Juve. It's just this overreaction to something which is just a bit of a laugh. And
what I would say is this, in reference to Italian football, is I mean, if they would spend half as much time and effort on things that really, I mean, listen, you know what, Art Morelli could rip Juventus off and make like £10,000 a month on his sales, and Juventus would still be making more money if they actually did all the other things that are missing in Italian football. And I don't just mean Juventus. I mean everyone did the things, then they would increase their revenue, and they wouldn't have to worry about Art Morelli's business out of his basement. It's
literally a fun hobby project out of his basement whilst he's taking care of his kid while his wife has returned to work before the kids can go back to school, or to preschool. Like it's just. But we have a saying in Swedish that accurately, I think, describes this. It's called filtering mosquitoes and swallowing elephants. That's what this is. Like you're so worried about the tiny stuff, you're not even bothering to fix the big problems. And this is just such an Italian football problem. And that letter just sent me into another dimension with laughter. So silly. So silly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. Let's leave it at that. As I said, we will be back on, I think, Tuesday, where we will have a Champions League preview show. So we will be basically previewing the whole Champions League tournament. kind of like what we did before the Serie A season started,
and the Euros as well,
and the Euro. What we did before the Euros, like that kind of show where you'll see me and Nima on camera, and we'll break down and go through everything with all the Italian clubs, their chances, squads, probable teams, predictions, all that, basically everything. And so we'll do that, and then later in the week we'll also have a few little bits and pieces as well. So there's plenty more content.
We'll be
to come.
previewing the first games of Inter Milan Juve. I guess, is that what we could say?
Not Juve.
Sorry,
we're doing the big games. In the preview show, yes. In the preview show. Yeah, in the big preview show.
And make sure to check out the Maduka Okoye interview, both on YouTube and on Patreon, or if you're a subscriber, and also on wherever you listen to this pod. It was a good interview. Really proud of that one, and it got picked up quite a bit by Italian media as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. Let's leave it at that. Thank you everyone for listening. Ciao, ciao.